Sylacauga Mayor Doug Murphree joins us this morning a couple of minutes after the hour, 72 degrees in downtown Sylacauga. And Mayor, good to see you this morning,
sir.
Good
to see you, Jimmy Dale. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being with us today. And a lot of things we want to talk about this morning, including there's been a lot of talk and a lot of conjecture about where we are as a city with our budget. Can we talk about that this morning?
Yeah, and I asked Yolanda Burns, our accountant, to get me a sheet ready. And she did this Friday, and this is through May. Now I want to probably the second meeting in July. I want to kind of do a state of the city and include the departments and all that and where we are. And as you know, this is election year, so as things heat up, we're going to have a lot of people saying that we're broke and we don't have money to do this and we don't have money to do that. Well, I'm here to assure you we're not broke. We've got to be careful with our spending, but we're not broke. Okay, and this is through the end of May. We budgeted our revenue at $15,068,634. All right, we have actually, our revenue at the end of May was $10,154,389, which is 67% of our budgeted revenue. Now, we've still got 4 months to go because, like I said, this is through May. Our expenditures, we budgeted $15,068,147, which is only about less than $500 over, to balance the budget. All right, our expenditures so far have been $9,083,171. That's 60% of our budget. So, and like I said, we've got 4 more months. Now, our surplus is $1,071,218, and which is a pretty good surplus right now. But this time of year, typically, we don't get as much revenue in as we do when business license and things like that. So this is, that's a good bit of surplus right now, but that don't really mean that we're going to end the year like that. So we've got to be careful. But the one thing that I want to stress, a lot of people say that we don't have a lot of money in reserves. Well, in our general fund reserve, we've got $5,013,093.45. And our general reserve, which is the money that we, we got in CDs and different things, so is about $2,562,486. We have got approximately $7.5 million that in CDs and banks in our general fund reserves and our accounts, our CDs and different things like that. So, with that said, if we were to just not take any more money in, we've got $7.5 million that we could run this city for probably 6 months. So, we're not in as bad a shape as some people want to think we are, but we've got to be careful because, like I said earlier, we budgeted only about $500 surplus, and we have a hard time telling people no. And I'm guilty as much as anybody. Everybody that comes to us wanting money, we try to accommodate them. But what's happened, we've already spent over what we had budgeted, and we've tried for the last several years to put $15,000 to $20,000 in our capital reserve fund to do capital purchases. We've not done a capital budget in several years. We always try to buy, when it comes to police cars and things that we need, we just keep this capital reserve fund built up, and we're able to buy different capital things out of that. The problem is here lately we have not been able to put a lot of money into that capital reserve. We hadn't been able to save our $20,000 a month like we normally do, and that's kind of put us behind on our spending. So we want to get to the point where we can save $15,000 to $20,000 a month and still do all the things we want. But like I said, we're not in real bad shape. We're not where I'd like for us to be, but we're okay. So
$7 million plus general reserve. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's including money like when we sold the hospital. There was $2 million that we put in the bank there, and the council at that time did a resolution that said we would not spend that unless it is an emergency. Now, all of this $7.5 million, we try not to touch that at any time, and we've managed not to do that. I know that for the past several years, I think since I've been involved, we've had that amount or close to that amount in our CDs and in our different accounts in the banks. So we have managed not to spend that, and but like I said, we're spending all of our general fund money, and we're not able to save any there. So we've got to come up with some ways to increase our revenue so that we can do paving and do some of the things that we want to do. A lot of people want a sports complex, and we want to be able to do that, but we've got to increase our revenue to be able to pay for that stuff.
Speaking of the sportsplex, I understand that a letter was received from the attorneys that are representing the group on Highway 280 that is wanting Council President Rocky Lucas to recuse himself from any involvement in any of the properties, and they want a response from the city of Sylacauga.
Yeah, and I have not had a chance to talk with our city attorney yet about that. We did receive the letter, and and so far, and they're talking about the land on Highway 21, which I think is the Jerry Fielding property. The council has not voted to purchase that land, or we've not even done a study on that land. So I've got to get with our city attorney and kind of see where we stand on that, and then let him respond, or tell us how we need to respond to that.
Has that slowed the city's process down in getting more started with the Comer complex that we already have?
Not really. We're still working toward doing some things. The main thing that slowed us down is money. We hadn't had the money to really. We've done the studies, but we hadn't had the money to move forward with anything yet. What I'd like to look at, and I've said before, I'd like to look at it maybe building a road out there to the old complex. Plus, that would get us land for industrial purposes, and then spend some money on the old complex and maybe improve on it, and then eventually build a new one out there. So,
from a layman standpoint, not knowing the ins and outs of the operation of the city, hearing the numbers this morning, from a layman standpoint, one might say, well, why don't you use part of that $7 million to fix our streets?
Well, it's mainly because we want to have that reserve, because you never know what's going to happen. We could, I would hate for something tragic if we were to have a tornado, something. And we could wipe that out pretty quick. So I had rather use that money to improve our bond rating, and then do a bond issue to pave roads and whatever. So we've got that money in there, but we're hesitant to use it because we don't want to deplete our savings, so to speak.
This situation with our roads, continuing to deteriorate.
Yes, yes.
And one might say, well, Mayor, that's all well and good, but this is an emergency of what we have in our city with our streets.
And I want us to do a paving project. We've got to, because we are losing our roads. Like Fort Williams over there, you ride up and down Fort Williams, and it's so rough that it almost
and that's just one
knocks your car. That's only one. So we need to spend $3 to $4 million on paving right now. So hopefully, either this council or as soon as the new council gets on, we need to come up with some ways to do a bond issue and go ahead and start our paving project. Hopefully we can do it before the weather gets cold this year. Hopefully we can get started on it. So
the infrastructure, we talk about this every time that you're with us, and we continue to see when we have heavy rains, we've got real problems.
We do. We've got some drainage problems in Sylacauga. Right here on Broadway is one of the problems. No, it's not new. We've done a few things to improve it, and I asked CDG, one of our engineering companies, they're doing this streetscape project down there. We got a grant to do that in front of City Hall. So I asked them to take a look at Broadway up and down here, up through here, and kind of tell us what some things that we could do to improve the drainage and stop the water from getting in the stores like it has in the past.
Sylacauga Mayor Doug Murphree, our guest this morning. Last work session, a special call work session, talked about the 280 property, possibly selling that 280 property. Where are we at on that?
Well, we had a work session the other day and had the developer in here, and of course, Wynn Livingston recommended that we go into executive session, and we talked about specific things that is not ready for public yet, but the developer had 120 days to do his due diligence and decide if he wanted to move forward with the project. That 120 days is about up. So I think now he's got another 120 days to come up with a plan to give to the city council that would for them to accept or reject. So we're probably 120 days away from being able to decide if we want to sign a contract with him. And
Mayor, again, from a layman's standpoint, that's frustrating. That's frustrating that, he had 120 days, now they got another 120 days before we even have a decision on it, possibly.
Yeah, and I want us to move slow on this project because, we could make some big mistakes if we're not careful here. And when they decided to sell him the land, that was one of the stipulations that he have 120 days plus another 120 to get this done. So I know it's dragging out, but I'd rather move real slow than to make a mistake.
Would you consider yourself as a conservative mayor?
Yes, I do. I feel like I am very conservative. I think I care about the city and I care about our financial situation and I care about our infrastructure. So. But yes, I think we need to be careful of our spending and, spend wisely.
Yeah. Surprise to many last week, City Councilman Tom Roberts hired as the president of the Childersburg Chamber of Commerce, and he's a councilman here in Sylacauga.
Yeah, and
that's a little awkward for some people.
Well, it seems to be. I don't know. I'm sure Tom knows what he's doing, but. And I'm not sure if Tom's going to run again this time or not. He has said 2 or 3 times that he was, and then that he wasn't. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But I applaud Tom if he wanted that chamber job in Childersburg. I'm glad he got it, and I hope everything works out well for them over there.
Sylacauga Mayor Doug Murphree, our guest this morning. Final couple of moments. July the 4th is Monday, and yes. It's a big holiday for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is, and. We certainly want to honor our veterans and the people. We want to remember what the holiday's all about, and why we've got our freedom here. So I hope everybody enjoys the 4th of July holiday, and again remember what it's all about.
Yeah, it's Independence Day, and as mayor, I'm sure you want us to remember too, there's been quite a number of good things happen in our city in recent years too.
Yeah, we had and I want to do a report on this. Calvin Miller came to us the other day and had a report on our industry and the different industries around town that have expanded and the additional employees we've got, and it was pretty impressive. It wasn't it's not near as bad there again as a lot of people think when we talk about jobs and all that. We have the last 4 years we have had a good many added jobs and additional revenue coming into our industries.
Sometimes it just needs to be put before us again and help us to remember.
Yeah, that's right.
Sylacauga Mayor Doug Murphree, our guest this morning. Mayor, always a pleasure. And,
thank you, Jimmy Dale. Good to be here.
Good luck and thanks for being with us today. We got more Daybreak coming up right after you watch this.